Unfortunately, as an American politician, you can't get too close to that kind of prophetic fire, or you get burned. So I can understand Barack, in some sense, wanting to get a distance as a politician.
These particular statements that have been gathered are ones that I strongly objected to, strongly condemned. Had I heard them in church, I would have expressed that concern directly to Reverend Wright. So I didn't become familiar with these until recently.
But on a personal level and on a very deep, truthful level, you had to try to teach people that there are voices in our society that are radical, that are not up for elections.
He called me that night and said, I want to make a speech. I want to make a speech about race, and I want to put this Reverend Wright issue in context. And we said, okay. And he said, and I want to do it no later than Tuesday. This was Friday.
He felt that he owed the American people an explanation, and that they had to hear it directly and honestly from him.
A very painful thing for Obama was dealing with his pastors. Very painful. And it was very painful to the community because people were angry because they were trying to act like he threw his pastor in front of the bus.
We set up this speech for the Constitution Center in Philadelphia on the theory that if you're gonna go down on a big stage. The anxiety in the room was palpable. And he turned to me and said, you know, I'm gonna go out there and give this speech, and people will either accept it or they won't.
Thank you. Thank you.
And if they don't,
Thank you. Thank you.
then I just won't be president, but at least I'll have said what I think needs to be said. He said, that's worth something.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, 221 years ago, in a hall that still stands across the street, a group of men gathered and with these simple words launched America's improbable experiment in democracy. The document they produced was eventually signed, but ultimately unfinished. It was stained by this nation's original sin of slavery. I chose to run for president at this moment in history because I believe deeply that we cannot solve the challenges of our time unless we solve them together, unless we perfect our union.
I think what was extraordinary about Obama's so-called race speech is the fact that it happened at all. There was no precedent. I mean, yes, Black people had run for president before, but at this stage in the game, there wasn't a clearly marked road that said, this is how this kind of Black person deals with people trying to disparage him and take him down in the name of race.
Now, throughout the first year of this campaign, against all predictions to the contrary, we saw how hungry the American people were for this message of unity. Despite the temptation to view my candidacy through a purely racial lens, we won commanding victories in states with some of the whitest populations in the country.
Obama was forced to give a speech on race, and he was forced to. He was in trouble.
This is not to say that race has not been an issue in this campaign. And yet, it's only been in the last couple of weeks that the discussion of race in this campaign has taken a particularly divisive turn.